When I said I wanted game rentals to come back, this was not what I was talking about. Hello, I'm Joe. I don't have a script today. We're just winging it because this news dropped, and like everybody, I've got some strong feelings about it. As you could probably tell from the thumbnail, this is about Sony announcing on Wednesday that it will no longer be publishing physical games after 2028. This is bad news. I'm not gonna bury the lead here. This is just bad news all around. I wrote a little bit about this today for News One. I put a link in my description if you want to go check that out. I would definitely appreciate the support. But I wanted to come on here and just talk a little bit more about my feelings on this. I am an avid physical media collector. I have a very large movie collection, and while, like many people, I have moved towards buying digital games in recent years, I still buy physical games. They really are kind of the most consumer friendly version of games. Oftentimes when games are on sale, the physical copies will be the ones that are like the cheapest ones. I'm pretty sure I got my copy of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora for $15, like only a year or so after that game came out. Same with my copy of Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. A lot of Ubisoft games I got really cheap physically. But that will no longer be the case, and that's bad for many reasons. Basically, it gives Sony just full control over how much you spend on a game. Like, you have nowhere else to go to. You can't go to an Amazon or a Walmart or a Target or whatever. It's PSN or nothing. And sure, there'll be digital codes sold in those stores, but like, how often do you go into like a Costco or a Walmart and see a digital code for a game on sale? Like, never. Maybe it happens. Like, I know sometimes PSN cards and stuff go on sale, but very rarely do I see the actual physical code discounted on anything other than maybe Amazon. The ideal would be that, okay, you're no longer printing discs or boxes, so that's one aspect that you're cutting costs there. So games should be cheaper, right? Well, if GTA 6's price announcement last week taught us anything, that's not the case, because that game is between $80 to $100 and it doesn't have a physical edition. So it doesn't appear like this is going to actually make games cheaper for us. It's going to do quite the opposite. It just opens up a really bad can of worms. There's some games I do buy physically, and while sometimes it's for games that are on sale, most of the times if I buy a game physically, it's because I really love that game. Like, I have all the Kingdom Hearts games physically. I have most of the recent Final Fantasy games in physical versions. Like, I buy the games I love physically because I want to own a version of them. And it really sucks that, in the inevitable PS6, I won't be able to play those games on that console. So, now I have to really take care of this PS5 because it's going to be the last system, the last PlayStation that I can play physical games on, which sucks. Because I'm doubtful this thing's gonna last, decades from now. All machines die, they're gonna get scarcer, so eventually these games that I physically own are just gonna become something that I can't play. And I really am not enthused at that, because the whole point of buying a physical copy is to buy a version of the game that you actually own, that they cannot take away from you. And Sony just said, haha, fuck you, we figured out a way to take this away from you. And that, it makes sense why everyone's mad, because it just completely undercuts the purpose of physical gaming. And you might be one of the people who are just like, what's the big deal? I've been buying games digitally since, the PS3. Like, this just is what it is. And yes, I know digital games have become the most popular and common way to buy new games, but that's not the case for everyone. And especially, think about people who have metered internet connections or just live in areas where they don't necessarily have access to the fastest internet connection. You're basically telling them they're SOL. Also, it basically means we don't own our games anymore. You're buying a license and you're hoping that that license will last indefinitely, but I can definitely see a future where that's not the case, because again, this news is coming only a week after Sony announced that it was going to be removing 500 movies from people's digital libraries that they purchased because the licensing agreement expired with Studio Canal. Do you know how insane that is? That you can buy something, but you don't own it. And it's honestly just given, the folks who sell the 7 Seas that much more credence, because yeah, why am I going to spend freaking like $80 to $100 on a digital game knowing there's a very good chance you can take it from me on a whim? I'm very worried, what this means for licensed games, because while I do have some delisted licensed games in my libraries, is this going to incentivize them going forward? Once a game is unable to be sold on, PlayStation Network, you also can no longer access it in your library. It's just not good. It puts too much control in the hands of a corporation that has shown time and time again it really doesn't have the best interest of consumers at heart. This really, the more I think about this, the more it bums me out. Because also there's a downwind effect of local gaming stores. We've got quite a few out here in Arizona in the East Valley that I'm quite fond of. And one of the benefits of those is that sometimes you can find your games at these stores cheaper than you would find them any other place. That's now not going to be a thing anymore. So these places are very much going to have to live and die by retro games, which is very much a niche, and I guess Nintendo games, because at least for now they're still selling physical copies, but with the whole game key card situation, it's not out of the normal possibility that whatever follows the Switch 2 will be a digital only system, because there's also rumors that Xbox's Project Helix is not going to come with a disc drive. And to me, and I wrote this in my News One piece, the big question about this is okay, then what's the point of console gaming? Because the whole point of a gaming console is that it's supposed to be, the most affordable, accessible entry point into gaming. And now you're saying these consoles are going to cost probably $1,000 at launch, whatever the next generation is. And not only that, you have no diversity in how you can buy your games. You are locked to their storefronts. And so if you're selling me a primarily digital box, why would I spend $1,000 on a game console when you could save up a few hundred to $1,000 more, realistically, given how component prices are rising? But save a little bit more on a PC, because with PC you have various digital storefronts you can use. You're not just locked down to one. While yes, Steam is the preferred choice for every sane person, there's also GOG. The Epic Game Store exists. Sometimes they do have games at discounts that maybe you want. Personally, I can't remember the last time I booted up the Epic Game Store, but you do have options. While Steam is accused of having a monopoly, it's a monopoly created from just being the best option. But, there are still other places you can go to buy your games. That is not the case with PlayStation or the Project Helix. You are locked to the PSN, and PSN has the weakest discounts of any of the digital storefronts. So you're definitely going to be paying more for your games on PlayStation going forward. So this is just really bad. It's just dire straits for gaming. It feels like every piece of gaming news we get these days is just bad. There's never a gaming news story that comes out where we're oh, awesome, I'm excited by that. The best we get is with GTA 6, where it's just well, it's not as expensive as I thought it was gonna be, but that wasn't glowing praise. It's just it could be worse. This makes me really unexcited for the future of PlayStation, and I just upgraded my PC last year. It's a pretty hefty rig. And this is really spurring me to just moving to PC gaming permanently once I clear my backlog, because yeah, man, like this is just a bummer. I was watching Max Dude talk about it last night, and he brought the point that Final Fantasy VII Revelation may be the last Final Fantasy game released on a physical disc. And that just broke my heart, because that's my all-time favorite series. Like, I love the Final Fantasy games. I try to collect them as much as possible, and knowing that's not going to be a thing in the future is sad. It's really sad. So I don't know what else to say, man. This is just bad. This sucks. What are your thoughts on this? How do you feel? Do you have a physical game collection? Does this not really affect you? Have you been mostly digital already, so it's just business as usual? Let me know below. But as always, I've been Joe. This is Taste, and I will see you in the next one.